Good evening and welcome to a Two Up Top special interview. I'm Gav Mack, host of Two Up Top, and you'll be able to see us on all social media platforms at Two Up Top Football. And I am joined today, I'm so delighted, to invite Dev Bajwa onto the show. Dev is from DAZN, global sport network, and is writing a book. So we thought, you know what, let's get him on the show and let's talk about his book and let's talk about his life. How are you, Dev?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So, I do know you're a Man United fan, but talk to me about the two shirts in the background there. You got
You
classic
can't hide it.
R9 and Zola.
Yeah, I mean, R9, do we need to talk more?
I don't think you do, to be fair.
no real
R9
need,
speaks
is
for
there?
himself.
I mean, he is just, I'd say probably the best striker ever, in my opinion. I'd say he was probably the best.
You.
And then, and Zola, I mean, we were just saying before we got on, you got to rep the name where it's due, innit? You got to give credit where it's due. And even though Chelsea, I can stand Chelsea with every fibre of my being, that man there, if he was there today, I'd probably like him a bit more. So yeah, you got to respect where it is. You can't see it just out of shot, but there's a Shearer one, and Alan Shearer just out of shot down there. And I've got about 6 in my wardrobe that I'm just collecting dust. But there's like Nakamura from Celtic, there's Lampard from West Ham, there's all sorts, mate.
Oh wow, I love that. Well, we were saying about retro teams and that sort of stuff. Now, I'm a Palermo fan. Most people that watch Two Up Top know that. However, I have to rep the Fiorentina old school mug, and it's got Two Up Top on it as well, which is part.
That's got to be the Batty shooter top, isn't it? The 7-Up one.
This dates back to '93. This one.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah, it's a great shirt. But yeah, we invited Dev onto the show. He we had a bit of dialogue on LinkedIn, and I was like, dude, I need to talk to this guy. And we're on the phone and we were talking about his life and what he does, and I want to share it with everybody else out there, you know, because considering that you're so young, you know, you're 23, you know, I would love to be 23 again. But
how old are you? I never really asked. How old are you?
Well, I'm 33, but I got ID'd last week. Yeah.
I was going to say, surely not, mate.
I genuinely got ID'd in Asda. There are other supermarkets available. But I got ID'd last week and I didn't have any ID with me, and I was absolutely livid about it. So I ended up finding a picture on my phone. I was like, right, where can I look, this is me, and this is a picture of me holding my identification. So yeah, bloody hell. So let's get into things. Dev, how did you get a job at one of the biggest global sports networks ever, DAZN?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because like I started my kind of professional career in recruitment, so like something completely different. But when you're searching grad jobs and you're searching for entry level opportunities, there's a lot in recruitment. So I ended up going with a digital company. They were like talking about digital roles, things I could get involved with, and it sounded pretty good. And then I was working there for about 8-9 months, and one of our colleagues, we had to get new clients all the time. One of our colleagues said, "Guys, I've just seen a company, DAZN. You know, has anyone heard of DAZN?"
That's what I used to call it, to be fair.
Yeah. I think everyone did, to be fair. And then
DAZN, DAZN,
what? DAZN, yeah, DAZN. What's that supposed to be? But it was all a bit mad. And then they were like, "Oh, Dev, you're big on sport. You're this, so it would be my first ever client. So why don't we go and meet DAZN, whoever the hell they are?" And we didn't really know what they did. So me and my boss at the time, we went to DAZN's headquarters, and literally the first thing it was a cardinal sin. If anyone's watching this, make sure you know how to pronounce the name of the company that you're about to visit. If it's an interview, mate, we flopped it because we got there and we were just like, "Oh yeah, we've been researching DAZN. It looks amazing." And they're like, DAZN.
So I take it you didn't win that client.
No, we got them. They were pretty good. They were pretty decent. So I ended up recruiting a few roles for them in the digital space. And I remember coming out from there, and I just thought, because I didn't want to be in recruitment my whole life, but I remember thinking, God, how...
There's nothing wrong with working in recruitment, by the way.
Say that again, sir?
There's nothing wrong with working in recruitment, by the way.
Not at all. No, it's great.
That's what I do on a day.
I mean, it's incredible, and I love what you're doing. It's tough, hard stuff, but it wasn't for me, mate. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
No, I get that.
Yeah, and so I was just doing roles for that. I remember coming out of it a few times thinking, God, how cool would it be to actually work there? And then I placed a few roles with them. I think I placed around three. I think it was three roles in total, senior and exec roles. And when I was telling them, I was like, "You've got this package at DAZN." I was kind of like, I wish someone was saying that to me instead. And then, life goes on. It didn't really work out the first recruitment place. I tried another recruitment place and then got made redundant from there. The whole company went and dissolved. So I was just kind of left in limbo, basically. So used my little contact book from recruitment day to see what was going on. And I just worked my way into an interview that I had no real experience in. It's what I do now is sort of in the rights management and legal area. So I had a legal degree, but that's it. I didn't have any practical experience or anything. I just said, I just wanted to worm my way into half an hour in front of them and think, then fair enough, just give me a shot. That's all I already asked. And I did a thing that I'd like to call professional persistence. It's not nagging. It's not every single day, but whenever I got the chance, like, oh, have you had the chance to check my CV? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I just annoyed them into interviewing me. Apparently I did well, and then that was it. And a year later, I'm still there. So, yeah.
Actual Sideman on Twitch is watching the show today, and DAZN is up there with Old Moot Cider. For mispronounced words, and my grandma would have called it all malt because she's she's so there you go.
No, I'm from Handsworth as well. We lived like full on Jamaican community, so that literally brought me home, just like straight away. Love that.
Fantastic. But one of the main reasons, before I go any further as well, let's get you some of your social media links up on the screen. Everyone follow Dev, Dev on Twitter or Sports Scripture, and we're going to go into that very, very shortly. And you can follow them on Instagram, and you go to their website as well, www.sportscripture.com, and that is where you will be releasing your book. And the main purpose of this show is to talk about your book. And from the conversation that we had, if there's anyone who likes football, I suggest you go out and get this book, which will be out at Christmas. It might be a stocking filler for some, it might be your main present for others, and it is called The Football Spiderweb, How the Beautiful Game Has Evolved. Now, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, it's funny because I was watching. Have you heard of True Geordie before, the podcast?
Yeah. True Geordie, massive in the podcast world.
Yeah, huge, absolutely huge. I listen to him all the time, and it was around Christmas time when everyone's sort of taking it easy at work, and you can sort of get away with listening to music, listening to podcasts while doing work. So I was listening to True Geordie, and he had a podcast with David Icke, the conspiracy theorist, and he just come out with a book. And I remember him saying something along the lines of, I might be paraphrasing, but it's about right, when he said, you can look at a moment in history, a past moment, a present moment, whatever. If you choose to isolate it, that's all you're going to look at. You just see that moment in history and that's it. But if you choose to take a step back, you begin to see that little moment could be part of a wider chain of events that explains a much bigger picture. So I thought, well, he chose to do it, I think, on 9/11 was his preferred thing and other historically significant things. But I thought, is there anything I'm really interested in that I could research that has that kind of development? And the game of football was it. And then from that point on, I just got a Google Doc up and I started typing away loads of different footballing moments, and then took a step back and I was like, hang on, number 1 links with number 12, 15 links with 30, and it just started making sense. So I started cherry picking it, bringing it all into like a timeline. I chose a 50-year timeline and then just linked up all the bits, and then it kind of wrote itself once I focused on one or more points, because bits started sprouting when I researched, and it just kept going. It's a nerd's, like, my brain went in overload like as soon as I started reading all this stuff, and then the nerdy bit came out, made links, and Bob's your uncle, I guess.
There you go. Now, I don't want to give too much away of what is in the book, so I'd like to talk about some scenarios that will be similar to what will be in the book. Now, we're on the phone. Did the piece about Ajax and Barcelona, is that in the book?
Yes, it is. It's
Damn it!
The key bits. So.
No, I see. That's the thing. I don't want to. I want people to still go out and buy the book. I'm going to buy it anyway. But do you know what? Screw it. We're going to talk about it. And so one of the things in the book is about where you look at the Ajax team that were conquering Europe. They won 3 Champions League, European Cups at the time, on the spin, and their key player was Johan Cruyff. And Johan Cruyff then went on to manage Barcelona, won a European Cup with them, and just players and players that then are managed by someone. So it starts off sort of like the manager, then the player comes in, they then evolve into management, and then that manager then progresses and comes into their own. So what sort of webs are you seeing built in today's game right now, and where could you say they have been evolved from?
Ooh, I like that. Okay, so one thing that I wish I kind of focused on more in the book might be in the second edition. So stay tuned for that. But one of the things I looked for was focusing on the Premier League, for example. I was very interested to see how the domestic market compared, like the transfer market compared to others. So there's no doubt in that there's been an inflation in the transfer market in the UK for a very long time. But I wanted to know why that was, and I want to know who contributed to it and what led to the teams that we see today. Because if we were to just take the top 10 teams in the world, I reckon Liverpool, City, maybe Man U if they get a couple of signings, and Chelsea now for sure would be in that top 10. So what led to that? And one thing I always find interesting is it was only 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, we were looking at Chelsea and they had a transfer embargo put on them. And everyone just starts looking at them thinking, God, they're going to fall down. They're going to fail. They've got an inexperienced manager, inexperienced team. And then coronavirus happens and everyone is all of a sudden putting a strain on their financial side, away from, some of the more serious things that happens with virus. It's from a purely business perspective. It's made everyone think twice about what they're buying, who they're buying, and how much. So everyone's having to cut back and having to reduce their strategies. I know United have done it, City have done it, and so have Liverpool. But Chelsea, they've gone from being banned for 2 years and falling down the pecking order to saving all of that money from one window, whereas everybody else had spent theirs. So in this window, when everyone else is focusing on, making their margins and making up for what they've already spent, they haven't had to do that. They put no one on furlough. They've increased their jobs, which is the only Premier League team to have done that. They've had more community engagement than any other team, as far as I can see, and they've spent nearly 200 million quid on top level players, and not just
good quality. And not just that, I think it's more of the case that it's not just top quality players that they've bought in. It's the fact that the market has been reduced because of coronavirus, etc. So some of these players that they've bought, they've actually got them at a cut price, arguably.
Yeah, so because Werner, I'd say Werner was probably a 60, 70 million pound striker, and they got him for about 40. Havertz was about right, about 70 million. That was about what we expected. But even Thiago Silva for free, Malang Sarr for free. They might get this goalkeeper Edouard Mendy for 20 million and sell Kepa for over that. They've been lucky. They've definitely been, if we were to call it that, they've been fortunate in the way things kind of went out for them. But they were opportunistic. They took what gift came to them and they ran with it. So I now see that as going from Chelsea falling under the bridge to probably getting back on top of it in the years to come. So it's just weird how that was one of them.
Obviously, they're being title challengers again, and before the season started, I looked at odds on what they would be to win the title this year. Now they played very recently, of course, yesterday. If you're watching the show in the future. A couple of weeks back, it wasn't a very convincing game against Brighton, but they still got the 3 points and they still got what they needed to do, and all their key signings, barring Thiago Silva and Ziyech, we even go back to Pulisic, being like part of the squad, and Ziyech, he's come in, and so the idea of what they want to do is far greater than where they felt that they could have been before the transfer embargo came along. So I fully understand and I back that. Now, going with your theory, why don't we talk about Man City? Because Manchester City, they are like, their manager is Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola learnt his traits from his playing career at Barcelona.
Hmm.
Once again, under Cruyff, like in the early days, and then
Hmm.
he's learnt a style of football. Is able to use his on-field experience to coach the likes of Xavi when he was first coming through, and then
Yeah.
became a manager of Barcelona, looking after Xavi and Iniesta. So it's just how you just putting all these ingredients into the bowl, you're mixing it up, put it in the oven, and this is what is progressed of it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait
Yeah.
for this book to come out. Honestly, I'm really, really looking forward to it. When and where? When and where can I get this book? So it's due out in
December, 1st of December.
December. 1st of
Yep.
December. So just in time. So there you go, buddy. In 1st of December. Some of the teams that sort of have that link, and I'd like to sort of have a look at we'll stay on the Premier League and how this works, because
Yeah.
and there's also a national team that I would like to talk about as well,
Hmm.
which I feel that has that sort of thing going on. And
Hmm.
you're seeing so many teams nowadays playing it out from the back.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on playing it out from the back?
I think, to be honest, it was, if I was to decide whether I wanted to watch today's football where they do that versus yesterday's football where they hoofed it up and hoped for the best, I'd pick today no matter what. I don't
Mm.
really like my team doing it because I don't think United are very good at doing it. But when it's done well, it's fluid, it's exciting, it's, you know, straight down to the nitty gritty of what football really is: passing, moving, making sure you're in the right place at the right time, and utilizing space. Because one thing I will mention about Johan Cruyff is him and his managers and his philosophy was built around space, like the
Mm.
concept of how much space is on the pitch. Where do you need to position yourself? You put yourself flat against the defender. What difference does that make to being sideways on? Everything. So when he comes up with things like that, you begin to notice in today's game, City's defenders in particular, and Liverpool's in the recent years, that their defenders just are calm under pressure. They know what they're doing. They might get caught out once or twice, but I'd much prefer to see that from a neutral's perspective than what it was before. And
Yeah.
if I'm honest, like, we're talking 2020, and Cruyff's years were back in the mid 70s. So this is a near 50-year progression of what began as a really groundbreaking philosophy to being a polished and careful and nurtured and considered contemporary tactic. And
Yeah.
a lot of clubs are now doing it. Some will fail and some have failed, but ultimately this is the way forward for football, because that's what Cruyff started, and that's what I think
Hmm.
Guardiola, Klopp, and Wenger did when he came with Arsenal. I think
Yeah.
all of these different clubs are important for doing that. So it's great to see. Like, I can now watch elite level football no matter where it is, because they adopt this similar kind of tactic, and it's just much more interesting to watch than just balls going up there, balls going back here, and then just spending, like, your neck's hurting by the time that you finish watching the game. It's just
It's like
like,
watching tennis.
yeah, it's just like, okay, nice, yep. Oh, he looks hurt. Oh, okay, back again. It's just, no, like, let's keep it exciting, keep it on the ground, be technical, be free with it, and that's what he was all about.
Yeah, I mean, like, Wenger was one of the people that sort of tried to introduce it early doors into the Premier League, and teams then started really focusing on possession-based games, and there
Yeah,
would be games where Arsenal would lose, which Arsenal lost loads of games over the years, but honestly, it's painful. But
yeah,
then what Wenger would always come out at the end of the game, he would always speak about, yes, but we controlled the game. We
yeah,
got done by a counter attack, but we controlled the game, and we did this, we did that, and we had 60% possession or 65% possession, and it's
yeah,
all from ball retention. So I think this is why Leicester did so well the year that they won it, because
yeah,
they wanted to break the rules and be like, right, everyone's playing ball retention, have the ball then. You have it.
yeah,
But as soon as we
yeah,
get the ball off you, we're going to go at the other end and we're going to bang.
yeah. Exactly,
Mm.
that's why it will always have that to and fro nature to it, because there'll be the majority minus the minority, and it will
Yeah.
always have that thing. Because Burnley how the hell they're in the top half of most Premier Leagues, I have no clue. Because on
Yeah.
paper they shouldn't be. But their tactic works, their game plan works, and it's hard for fancy teams to break them down sometimes. And that's just the way of sport and the way football is. But the thing with like how things have developed now, and you talk about Wenger, like I actually feel pretty bad when people talk about him all that much because he really should be at that conversation of the greatest manager to have ever been in the Premier League. And the reason I think he's not got that is A, because of how it ended. He probably should have left earlier than he did when it wasn't working. But
2008, Gav said.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right as well. But people forget about the whole Emirates move. And I don't think that there would have been many managers who would have taken on being told by your own club just after you've got a new contract, yeah, we're moving in. Oh, by the way, we're moving just over there, so don't sign anyone. You know, free transfers and all that. Yeah, 10 million quid on Andre Santos. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. But you know, but other than that, we need you to operate in a profit. We can't have you working in a deficit. You have to still play good football, and you have to still qualify for Champions League.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see any manager who could have done that because Fergie never did it without a budget. Great manager, and I love him obviously, but he needed the budget. Klopp did, Guardiola did, but Wenger just didn't. He always got to Champions League. He was never going to win the Prem with the teams that he's got, but he still had led to some great moments, some great players, great developments, great academies. It's like he still had it, and I just feel bad for him that he had to have that move because if he didn't have it, Arsenal needed to make the move to better their club because Highbury wasn't good enough for them. But to lose Henry to that and to lose so many great players to that move and to that new change.
Henry, Vieira, Fabregas to a degree, you know.
Yeah, Perez, Van Persie even, like, because they couldn't get good players enough to bring him in. Alex Song, when he was smashing it, like, people forget about him. It's just, and even when he got some good players in, Aaron Ramsey went and got his leg broken, and then he had Eduardo got his leg broken, and then he had all these things to do. I just feel so bad for him, but he should be in that elite level conversation, I always feel, because especially I go into the book about what he did at the beginning of his Arsenal career, and he changed the game completely. There's no one who came into the Prem as a manager and changed it as much as he did. Nutrition, tactics,
I mean, like,
everything.
exactly. Yeah, I was going to say to the nutrition side because the 90s football it was dominated by Italian clubs, you know, especially in the Champions League, where it wouldn't be an Italian team winning it every year. But an Italian team was in the final every year. 99 was the first. I think it was 91 and 99 were the only 2 years in the 90s where there wasn't an Italian influence in the final. So they had their mindset. They were well drilled. Whereas in England, it was still drinking culture. You know, let's go out on the beers. Arsenal had Tuesday Club, you know, which is well documented. You know, I would love to have been part of that Tuesday Club.
When we all, mate.
Not tonight. I'm having an interview with you, Dev. So I'm not going to chin off Tuesdays just for anyone else other than yourself. But no, it's he came in and was like, right, no salt in your diet, no more drinking, no this, and it just completely changed the whole mindset. And next thing you know, Arsenal's first full season, they won the title. So then Man United then had to step up and be like, hold on a minute. And then other teams were what's this French bloke doing that we never even heard of? And, you know, just changing the whole face of what we now know football as today. So I see what you mean in terms of the respect. He does deserve the respect, and I do respect him. But personally, as an Arsenal fan, I do believe that he overstayed his welcome by a country mile. And when he turned around and said that Arsenal are going to be the best team in Europe in 5 years' time after winning the title and not then doing anything after, that 5 years for me was over. So then we should have looked at ways of evolving, because I look at Man United, and Man United won their first title in 26 years in the 92-93 season. But if you look at the 93 team that won it, and then the 97 team that won it, and then the 2001 team that won it, and then the 2007 team that won it, it's a different team each time that win it. Ferguson knew how to recycle players, and any time a big name was leaving, it was like, oh well, you know, Pallister and Bruce are going. Well, defense-wise, we haven't got anything.
Yeah.
And then, picking up Henningberg and Ronnie Johnson and things like that.
Yeah.
And then, Beckham. Don't want Beckham anymore, And then we were like, oh my God, what am Man United going to do without Beckham? Oh, here comes that Portuguese lad. Can't remember his name. He was quite good. He turned out all right in the end. But then, you always looked at ways of evolving. And I think that's what the issue is with a lot of teams nowadays. And I'm worried for Liverpool this year because Liverpool, they ran it very close 2 seasons ago. They won the Champions League. Congratulations. The following year, they won the league. But now, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, at any point, I don't like to talk Liverpool up. It's part of my DNA. I don't like saying bad things about Liverpool. But at the end of the day, Klopp has created one of the best teams that the Premier League has ever seen. There's no doubt in that. But he was found out even towards the end of the lockdown. Like when Project Restart came in, clubs started to figure out what they're about. And quite frankly, conceding 3 goals against newcomers Leeds in a really uninspiring win, what I thought, it's a bit of a wake-up call thinking, well, yeah, you've got incredibly good players and you've got good depth in some areas, but when Firmino's injured, what are you going to do? When Salah's out, when Mane's out, Van Dijk, they look like a completely different team without him. Alisson, I remember last season when Adrian was in goal, he cost them the Champions League when they were in against Atletico. So it's like there's all these different things. But the thing you mentioned there with Fergie is that he was good at evolving, but there was always something that made him evolve. So there was always with any manager that it's happened with, something caused them to say, hang on, we need to change things up yet. Liverpool haven't had that. I personally think that when they ran you guys very close in the Centurion season, it was when they ran City very close. Sorry, it was they were always chasing their tail, always second best, and had something to prove. There was that hunger there, and then now they needed the league, so they went and did it, and they did it really well. But they did it in a competition where everyone faltered. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but
it's a little bit like when Man United last won the title in the 12-13 season. The point difference looks like Man United ran the league and walked away with it. Just all the other teams were beating each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just did the double over Man City last season.
Exactly, and the amount of different 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins, and awkward 1-alls or last-minute draws, that gets forgotten, doesn't it? You just see the points and you see this and you see that.
Yeah.
When City were Centurions and they got those many goals and 100 points, they clearly battered everyone. And Liverpool was somewhat of the same. But last year, I can count. They had really good performances. They were a fantastic team. I'm not taking that away from them. But would they have done that if City was still on form? I don't think they would have done. I think if there was I don't think there was another challenger. What were they, like 28 points clear by the end of the year?
It was beyond a joke, wasn't it?
It's dominant, don't get me wrong, but they did that without getting the top points level in the history of the competition. That still belongs to City. 1 point difference, whatever, but it still belongs to them. And that's when you have to look at everyone else. So I think what's going to happen this season is Liverpool, if they don't strengthen even a little bit, if they get Thiago, it's a different situation. But if
I agree.
But if they stay with the same team and get found out a few more times, they might lose one of their big players to one of the Real Madrids or Barças of the world, as is always the case with the Premier League. Then I think that they'll probably finish maybe second or third this year. I think City are going to run away with it based on what they've done so far. And that's when it will flick the switch. I don't know if it will be too late to flick the switch because I think some people will want to leave.
Well, I triggered a lot of people because one of the shows that we do is our top 5. So you could go back on our YouTube channel and have a look at that one. It's if you go to the playlists and look for top 5s. And what we normally do, there's a lot of banter in it. We've done ones that are about, the top 5 worst haircuts. We've done like the top 5 worst kits. The top 5 best England players not to get 10 caps. But we also did right at the beginning of the season was the top our predicted top 5s, and I triggered a lot of Liverpool fans, and I didn't go out there intentionally to go and trigger Liverpool fans. I think it's just the fact that I put Arsenal above them. I think that's what worried them. But I said that Liverpool will come 4th this season, and that Arsenal might come third. And I think Arsenal are going to run away and like just do things like under the radar,
Yeah,
and
that's a
you know.
shout.
But I said that it will be City at the top. I said United will come second. I said Arsenal will come third, and then Liverpool. And I said Chelsea will just miss out because I feel that they haven't done enough defensively and they haven't sorted out their goalkeeping situation. I know there is talks, you know, with the little goalkeeper Edouard, and there's been little nibbles of Oblak, and then they talk about Oblak in one breath and then Pope in the next one. So hey, you look, they need a goalkeeper. They're going to talk, but for me, because they haven't strengthened, that is what the issue is. And this is where Arsenal went wrong in the 03-04 season. They won the title, didn't strengthen. But this is where Man United did really well. And that's where Chelsea did really well. Because when Chelsea won it in 05, they had the at the time the highest point return and the best defensive record. And then the following season, they strengthened and won again. So it's, you have to go out and see what's going on around you. City won't allow that to happen again.
No,
They won't allow it, and they've got clout, and they've still got a couple of weeks before the transfer windows closing as well. So no, it's interesting. Now, sort of going back to what we were in regards to sort of like the book and the web of how it brings around. As I said, I wanted to talk about the international front, and I feel just based off the information that I know from your book, this is where Spain are and what they did, because we've always looked at Spain as the bridesmaid, haven't we? Over the years, if you look at the 60s, 70s, 80s, even in the 90s, you know, especially the 90s when they had players like Luis Enrique and
Guardiola, I guess would have been there.
Guardiola, exactly. Alfonso, you know, some really top end players, Albelda at the back, things like Albelda, Nadal at the back, things like that. They never won anything, and they will always be one of the favourites. And I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine earlier on this afternoon in regards to Raul, and Raul is the nation's darling. He is the main guy, and he is a Real Madrid legend. But every time they picked him, it ruined the chances of everybody else because everything had to be fed through Raul. And there was almost a civil war in Spain in 2008 when they announced the Euro squad. But they didn't pick him in the end. And it was vindicated because they went with Torres and David Villa and they won that. But then once again, they evolved for the World Cup in 2010. And then they evolved again in 2012. So how do you feel it works in comparison from club to international football?
It will always depend on the country itself because most countries will always have that star player. And what we have to remember is that they go to a completely different manager, like 9 times out of 10, and he is tasked with bringing all these egos together who probably in Spain's case, Brazil's case for sure, and England, they would have been the top dogs for their clubs. And now all of a sudden they have to be part of a wider team towards a common goal. They were always doing that, but you know, Michael Owen said he felt some kind of complex when he went to the England setup after being the main man at Liverpool. And then he was being trumped by his own Liverpool teammate Heskey to get into the England squad. So you have to manage all of these different things. And with Raul, it's interesting you bring him up because I hold him very dear to my heart. I love Raul.
Oh, me too. I hold him in very high regard.
Yeah, I think he's incredible, but I don't think he ever found the right manager to bring the best out of him. Like, God forbid, or God bless, if he ever came now and played in a Guardiola side, I think we'd see such a different side of him because his assist record was almost as good as his scoring one. So you think what he could have provided, it's just beggars belief really with Raul. But
if it weren't for Messi and Ronaldo and their absolute freak show for the last 12, 15 years, we would still be talking about Raul on a daily basis. 100%. You know, it was almost like he gets forgotten about.
Yeah, and the fact that Ronaldo could go into the Real Madrid while Raul was there and outshine him in different ways shows how great Ronaldo is. So it's not a poor thing on Raul. It's just that's how I wish we kind of looked at football a bit. Like, you come in and you do such a good job. Think about who you replace and think about the thing that weighed on you and how you coped with it and whatever. But with the international thing, it's like it's so difficult for managers to not keep that darling in place, because there is a different media vivacity when it comes to international football, because everyone is a fan all of a sudden. Like, my mum hates football. She hates it. She can't stand it. But if England are playing, she's glued to the TV more than I am. So, and she'll, do you know what I mean? She'll have more of an opinion on anything else. Like, I remember once we were watching 2006, I think it was, and Beckham was playing, and she was just staring at him like, "Give the ball to Beck." I'm like, "Mum, it's what do you mean? Like, it's on the left side." He plays, like, "No, just give the ball to him. Like, he'll do what he needs to." Like, everyone will have an opinion. So, and it usually goes to the lesser experienced managers who somehow get darling their way into getting an international role, because it becomes political, it becomes like presidentially related, and the managers never really know how to do that. Because, for example, I don't think Southgate should be anywhere near the England job, but that's what I think anyway. But
I agree. I think I'll let you continue your point, because I want to come to that as well. So
but like all of these different things play into it. So when it comes to going on the international front, it will take either the players to just decide amongst themselves, like, this is the system that's best, this is what we have to do. And it's well known now that in the Spain 2010, in the 82 Brazil, and in the 70s Brazil, I think, and even England 66, even they had Alf Ramsey, but Alf Ramsey used to say to them, you know what you're doing, go out and do it. And there isn't that anymore, because the expectation weighs so heavily on them that they're not free. I don't think international football has that level of freedom anymore, and very few clubs or teams are able to express that. I think France, even though they won the last World Cup, should have been even better than what they were, because like, Pogba was great, Kante was great, Mbappe, like, I could speak forever about that kid, but they could have been better. And it's nitpicking, but I don't think they were free. I don't think seeing how he played for PSG is not how he played for France, and that's what you can never really count on all the time. So with the Spain squad, they were given license. I think Del Bosque was one of the managers, and later, I'm not sure who the manager was after that, but you saw tiki-taka. The Barcelona tiki-taka was done by Spain. The freedom of total football was done by Ajax and then the Netherlands. And the expression of South American samba style was done by Brazil. And that's what we're missing. And if we let these the English players we've got now, who are one of the greatest crops that we've probably ever had in terms of youth, then we should be battering Iceland. That's for sure.
Oh my God! We did a live watch along for that game, and we got so bored we started talking about who's better, Tupac and Biggie. Which we know the obvious answer is Tupac. So we had nothing to talk about, and it really wound me up. Now, on the England thing, I relate it to the Spain thing, and I said years ago, so we're going back probably about a decade, maybe just over, that I didn't feel that Rooney deserved to be in the England side at that point. And I was getting lambasted. Rooney's the best player in England. Rah, rah, rah. Yes, he is. I'm not disputing that. But he's not suited to what players they have around. And we could go back to that golden generation of England. And it's like managers were just so fixated on, this is the formation that we're playing. So therefore, it's square pegs, round holes situation.
Yeah, it was.
When we had Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, why didn't we play three midfield then?
Yeah,
why
exactly.
Why didn't we play Gerrard in a bit of a more withdrawn role, and then Scholes in front of him doing some real dirty box to box work, which he's brilliant at. We all know it. And then Lampard, full club, in behind, on the edge of the box, finding goals. 210 goals. 209 goals, is it? The record for Chelsea. Why don't you not play him to his strength? And then in that situation, maybe you can play three at the back, which I'm not a big fan of, by the way. But maybe you could have then, because then you could have used your fullbacks as wing backs instead, and allow the freedom of players to feel like they are doing a real job, and it
Yeah.
really wound me up. And as I said, like I just don't think there's a few. I think it was World Cup 2010 and the Euro 2012. I didn't feel that Rooney was at the standard for England. For club, he was bossing it. And
Yeah,
for
he was.
me, between '07 and 010 '07 and 2010, for me, Wayne Rooney deserved to win a Ballon d'Or in one of
Yeah.
those
Yeah, I
in
agree.
those
I
years.
completely agree. Yeah.
I had an argument with someone on Facebook about this the other day, and he said, "Yeah, but in 2012 he scored more goals than he ever has before. That's great, that's great. But was he playing the standard that he was in '09? No.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's all good scoring goals, but how many of those are pens and how many of those are
Exactly. Yeah.
tappings and things like that? Your link
Yeah.
up play, your contribution to the actual team
Yeah.
is what warranted it. So yeah, no, mm,
I completely agree because I think stats are so misleading and there are so many stat merchants out there that will stay on numbers and that's it. It's just football's not that. If it was that, then we still have the same brand of football from 50 years ago when we clearly don't. It's about rhythm and pace and balance. Balance is the key in any football team now. And with Rooney, and I talk about it in the book about Man United and their evolution. And when Rooney came to the fore, he was spearheading that new direction for Man United,
yeah,
hungry, engaging, don't let up, get on them, do all this, do all that. And that's because he had bloody Carlos Tevez, Luis Saha doing the work for that he
yeah,
did as well.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and he needed to do that for England. He's a good goal scorer, a very good striker, very very competent striker. But his best role was to get in, link up, because he's so underrated with his link up play, and that was what
Yes,
he did so well. And he was a good passer. He was a good cross. He was just brilliant, Rooney. But keeping him up there to do that and score goals and do that and not letting him be free and be happy. Imagine if we did that with Gaza in Italia '90, we wouldn't be talking about him.
no,
Players like that
exactly.
need to be free.
We'll be talking about World Cup '90. We won't be
Yeah,
talking about '66 anymore. We'll say that we won it
exactly.
twice.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
feel the same situation is going with Kane right now, and Kane
Mm.
is the best English striker right now,
Yeah. No
and
doubt.
but he's also the best creator. And
Hmm.
I think his creative work is so criminally
Mm.
underrated at the
Yeah.
moment.
Mm.
England's best creator and goal scorer are the same person, and it's such
Yeah.
an issue. But
Yeah.
then change your style.
Yeah.
How many times in World Cup 2018 were we looking at Kane winning the ball deep, and it's like, oh, for God's sake, man!
What's he doing? Yeah.
Imagine if someone was winning the ball deep and then he'd be on the end of it. And unfortunately, we had Sterling on the end of it, who I do think is a brilliant footballer,
Yeah.
but he's not a finisher. He
No,
scored
he's not.
20 odd goals last season in all competitions.
Mm.
Great stuff. Congratulations. But you're not a natural finisher. So,
Mm.
that's where I would like to see a Greenwood, maybe. I know
Mm.
he's only 18 years old right now, but I would like to see a Greenwood in a further forward position. I went to
Yeah.
watch Arsenal Spurs twice in about 3 weeks last season. So we played him in the
Mm.
league and then we played him in the League Cup. And in the
Yeah.
League Cup game, both teams put out a relatively strong side. And
Mm.
I'll tell you what, when I go watch games, there's a player that I want to focus on. I literally, do you remember Player Cam on Sky?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do my own player cam with
Yeah.
a particular person, and there's another player that I'll speak about in a moment as well, which I did it with, who I think is criminally overrated as well.
Mm.
But Kane, I looked at Kane and was just staring at him the whole time, and Spurs scored a wonderful breakaway goal, which Dele Alli finished. Um, he won the ball so deep. He receives it, he turns around, he looks up and just sprays this beautiful ping.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, mate, you're meant to be on the end of this.
Yeah.
But he didn't need to be because he's got the brain. He could do a number of different things. So
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of my criminally overrated player, it's a defender, and it's Koulibaly.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
I did my little player cam view on him when Arsenal played against Napoli last year in the best European
Mm.
trophy played on Thursday,
Mm.
and he was awful.
to be fair,
you can have bad days. We know you can have bad
yeah,
days,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's fine. I get that. I mean, like Varane had the world's worst performance against Man City. It doesn't stop him from being world class.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I think the guy's 29. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he should be doing. And I don't say I watch him week in, week out, but I watch enough of him, and I think that he is very, very overrated.
Yeah, I do agree in a way as well. I haven't been watching him too much, but if I was to look at who I think is a 80, 90 million pound centre back, which is what they're saying he is, if Van Dijk is 75 million and you're going to try and cost more than Van Dijk, then I use him as an example. I mean, I know Harry Maguire costs more, and that's just Man United tax. He's not an 80 million quid player either. But
No, he's like 34.
yeah, genuinely,
In
yeah.
nowadays football.
Yeah, 100%. And with Koulibaly, I just think there needs to be a bit more to you than just being in the right place at the right time and being a bit of a bulldozer. I don't think he's good on the ball. I think his anticipation is good. He reads the game quite well. Good in the air, and he could be a leader. I haven't seen him be a leader, but I imagine he is. But
I'll take away his leadership skills. But the other two things that you said there, isn't that just what you expect from a defender?
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. And at that level, I expect that to be a given. You should be great at that, and then it should be the other things that you should be decent at as well. Like bring the ball forward, vision, leadership, all that. And I just don't think he has all that. Van Dijk, I think, does. Well, we know he does. He's won the Champions League, like 2 Champions League finals and a Prem just after coming to Liverpool. Like he's the dude is class, but he's not there. And I'd look at Laporte or I'd look at a centre back like Varane, and they're way better. And I'm like, you're the 80, 90 million quid. Koulibaly, probably not. So yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Let's talk about your club then, Man United. Interesting window. Yeah, we've got no choice, mate.
Speed along. Come on then. Let's go.
The thing is, Man United in the league. The last defeat that you received in the league was against Burnley, I believe. 2-0 at Old Trafford as well, which is annoying because Arsenal have only ever scored 2 goals at Old Trafford once in the league, and when we did that, when we did that, we shipped 8 at the other end. But so like, what other club doing that Arsenal can't do? I'm confused. So, hey, look, I could take the banter as well as give it, so it's fine. And you know what? I remember I was on Facebook. I was hammering Facebook. I was like, ha ha ha, Man United must be terrible. Yeah, you scored all these goals, but you let Arsenal score twice. What are you playing at? Absolute embarrassment.
Mate, I was at a wedding. I was at one of them typical like Indian weddings that last for like 6 years, and I remember it being like, what was it? It was 3. Was it 3?
It's 3-1 at half time.
3-1 at half time, and I remember thinking, oh god, you just nicked one, and I was like, they might get back into this. I go to dance a little bit. I come back and eat. My mum's just looking at the phone. She'd be like, "Oh, it's been going off that. Like a lot's going on." I'm like, "Oh God." I honestly thought, "Oh, we shipped it. We've lost." I look 8. You must be.
To be fair, you had 9 shots on target that day. 8 of them went in. 2 penalties, 2 free kicks as well.
Clinical.
So, hey, look, take away the set pieces. It's not such a bad result,
Still clinical, I reckon. It's all part of the game plan. That's Fergie, mate. We've talked about this. That's all it. He knew.
But where are Man United right now? As I said, like they've been unbeaten in the league since the 22nd, I think, 22nd of January. Major influence from Bruno Fernandes, who you should have signed in the summer last year.
Oh,
should have signed.
He's the sexiest dude who's ever been in a United shirt. But the thing is with this squad, it's at such a pivotal crossroads at the moment. It could go left so badly, or they could really smash it on the head. But it's all in this window and in Jan. And like, we don't usually leave our business till Jan. I know we did Fernandes, but that was a bit. We just had to get him. And
different circumstances that one was.
Yeah, and I'm aware people are saying, well, Vidic, Evra, they came. Yeah, if you can tell, if any Man United fan that's listening can tell me that they knew who they were before they came to United, no, don't try it.
See, I knew about Patrice Evra because because Monaco days, and he played in the Champions League final in 2004. Against Porto. So Mourinho's Porto about that. But I knew about Evra, but honestly, Vidic, never heard of him. Not even,
No,
not even, not. I never even heard him on FM.
exactly, and you are never going to say that Vidic is going to be one of the best defenders in the world. Like you weren't.
No,
So
not a chance.
so now I honestly think the United squad is quite solid, and our best players in our best 11, they're solid. I think they could probably compete with most best 11s in the league. Not saying beat them 9 times out of 10, but definitely compete. I mean, like we mentioned Greenwood. I think Rashford on his day. I think he needs to recover. He needed a bit of a rest coming back from injury, not doing too well, and he needed a bit of a break. And I think he'll come back stronger. Martial just kept on firing. Pogba started reliving his form. Bruno Fernandes brought us all together. Maguire was okay. I don't think like I said, he was okay for a 40, 50 million pound centre back, not 80. Lindelof strong. Forget the hair. Luke Shaw. Yeah, like that's the thing. Again, De Gea. I've got De Gea or Romero's going to have to leave. I think for his own sort of like, I think should be letting him leave. It's not fair to keep him there. But De Gea is still 18 months ago best goalkeeper in the world. I think he's definitely dipped and he's had struggles, but still a top flight keeper on his day. So let's not split hairs. And Henderson's done well. So I think now bringing Donny van de Beek in, the centre midfield spot is good. Matic, Van de Beek, he really is. Like Matic, Van de Beek, Pogba, Fernandes, strong, very, very strong in that centre midfield. And it's a part of our squad that's been leaking for the past decade. So good to know we plugged that. That's very good. But
do you feel sorry for McTominay now?
No, I don't. I think it's going to be a good few years for him, but in a different role than he expected. Because when he started, he could kind of do what he wanted, box to box, score, like have a shot, have a dig, do this, do that. Now he's going to have to be a bit more defensive, I think, when he does play. So that's fair enough. But Fred did that, and Fred has been a lot.
Fred had a wonderful season, by the way.
Yeah.
And I watch football from all over the world, and I watch football all the time. It's very rare if there's not football on the telly because little man's watching. Well, I'll say little man's watching like kids programs. He's 5 years old, and he'll be watching Supermarket Sweep, The Chase, Eggheads. Honestly, he loves quiz shows. But if he's busy watching that, I'll be watching football on my phone or on my iPad. I am constantly watching football. And Shakhtar Donetsk, I thought they were going to win the Europa League just gone. I genuinely did, because they normally have grit at the back. Big, brutey, Eastern European grit at the back. And then Samba flair up front. But
I don't know what led to that, but they've always had that.
I know, but like Fernandinho was doing a piece, and is it Fernandinho or Fernando? Always forget which one. But then Fred, he was there, and I was like, this guy's good. And when Man United signed him, I was like, got a player here. You got a player. Man, he was awful that first season. Absolutely awful. But last season showed what got him the move in the first place.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. And the thing was, he had to adapt, and it's so hard for. It's so simple for any of us to think, the footballers are kicking the ball about, they're doing this, they're doing that. But no matter what they're doing in their training or in their private life, whatever, they've got 90 minutes to prove you wrong. And you're already on their back, and they've got a massive prize tag that they didn't ask for. It's my biggest bugbear when people say, when people say like, oh, he cost this much, how is he? He didn't ask for that. The man's not laying up in Ukraine thinking, oh, I'll pay 60 mil, then I'll cut. It's not anything to do with him. He's got to do what he's got to do. And he came with that burden put on him, thinking, I'm putting on the shirt already. I need to perform. Give me the role I'm meant to do. Mourinho didn't let him do that. Solskjaer didn't let him do that. Made him change his role. And then he performed in his own, second season? Give the man a break.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been fantastic. And I think we'll see something similar from McTominay because he's United through and through. I think he just died for the badge. So he's it's easy to make that Fletcher comparison, but he just is. He's a coming of age of Darren Fletcher. What
did you think of Fletcher when he was first coming through?
Do you know what? When I was a kid, I didn't rate him. I can't lie.
I loved him from the beginning.
I never rated. That was when I was a kid. But this is I never rated him or the John O'Shea's or the
I never rated John O'Shea.
I still don't
And
really
I
know.
still lambasted for that goal. I was lambasted for that goal. Don't ever chip an Arsenal goalkeeper like that. You know?
That was amazing. That was
You didn't know
lovely.
what to do when he was running there celebrating. It's like,
Fantastic.
did I just
Didn't
score
need,
that? I'm like, oh
didn't
my
need to.
God,
He
John
knew.
O'Shea.
He knew what he was doing. He said it to the gaffer. But you know, like with like Fletcher and that, it was like when you're a kid, you see the flashy stuff. And at that time, it was like United were. I was born into the era of transition with United, but we had some interesting players. Like my favorite player growing up was Ruud van Nistelrooy and Diego Forlan. I don't know what it was about Forlan. Oh
That's
my God, that boy. I don't know what it was yet. You know the headband? I think it was just that. Like, like the man just looked different. He looked cool. He looked. Because I don't.
He
I
did,
don't
have,
have
he
long
did
hair.
have a bit of swag, to be fair.
He
Some
did, man.
good
You know,
early noughties swag.
he just knew what he was doing. He worked hard. He just loved playing for United. But like I don't have long hair, but I remember saying to my mum, can I have a headband? Like, I want to be like Forlan. I want to do this, and like she shot it down. Probably rightly, but like I just loved him. But we had so much flair. We had Veron, we had Blanc, we had Bartel. I know they weren't great for us as much as they could have been, but interesting, different, and that. So I grew up on that, and then I see someone like Fletcher who just got in, did his job, and I was like, it's just Fletcher, innit?
You don't appreciate those sort of players until you get a little bit older and really understand football. And this is not. I don't mean this in a patronising way to any football fan in any way, shape, or form. When you're talking about a team, like even like when you see like World 11s, best 11s, there's never like a defensive midfielder involved in them, are they? You're thinking, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, you got a couple of good defenders and then 4 really attacking midfielders and 2 strikers. Who's going to do the chopping? Who's going to do the dirty work in the mid part? And
even,
this, I think it's really important to have those sort of players. Someone like Fletcher.
You need them there. They're the engine room. You need them in the squad. But also, like, if I look at the class of '92, you know, United is like everyone talks about the Beckhams, the Giggs, the Scholes, even the Nevilles. The Nevilles get a mention just because like they were different. You know, they were 1 year apart and there was one's on the other side.
What was Philip Neville doing near any squad? What was he doing at Man United? What was he doing in the England squad? What was he doing at
Philip Neville? How he managed to stay at United's left back role when we had Irwin and when we brought in you got to look at that. If Fergie genuinely thought, you know, I'm choosing him over Dennis, boy, nah, get away from me, get away from me. The man was versatile.
I with Nelson Vivas, but
you know what? I respect him and I've met him. Good guy. I've got nothing against him.
It's your best mate, Dev.
mate, I've got nothing against him. I think he's a lovely dude. I made tea next to him. I worked at an agency, made some tea next to him. We had a joke about the sugar. He's a lovely guy. But on the pitch, like at Everton, he found his level and he was good at Everton. But he was versatile. He did his role.
And Everton were languishing in mid-table. Now, because like with Gary Neville, I never appreciated Gary Neville until he retired. I didn't get him. I didn't understand. It's just like, you're a right back. And when I was a kid, I played left back. You know, I definitely play up front, but my composure is awful. If I was on Football Manager, my composure would be greyed out.
I love that.
You know, pace 18, acceleration 19, finishing probably 15, but composure nothing. You know, don't put anyone between the sticks, and I'll pop it home. But as a defender, I look at fullbacks and I think, you've got it, whatever. I just didn't see it as I was growing up with Gary Neville, and then now I've got older and I have gone back and I've watched games. What a player!
He's another underrated one, I reckon.
I think he's probably had 4, 5 bad games in his whole life. Everything is a 7 or more.
Yeah, and 2 of them were probably at the end of his career when he was on his way out. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, because I after this book, I'd like to write another one, kind of on these like unsung heroes of the game that I feel we should talk more about. And with Neville, I've always said that you ask people for their all-time Premier League 11, they'll probably put Neville in there, but not because they genuinely think it's a weird one, but they don't genuinely think, Neville was great, he deserves to be in that squad. It's like, he was at United all that time, played a lot of games, stick him in. No, that shouldn't be the conversation. It should be his overlapping, his crossing. He didn't score a lot, but that's not what he's there for. He did his job brilliantly well. And then when we're having a conversation about like Fletcher, so I never like thought much about Gary Neville. He was just always there. And
Yeah.
I never thought much about Fletcher because he's always there. But then you begin to realize, as you grow older and look at the game in a different way, without them, all your favourite players aren't going to play well. And if any United fan, like new United fans watching this, I don't really remember Fletcher or Neville or Nicky Butt was the one I was going to mention. Like
Nicky Butt,
boy,
honestly, underrated.
I
And
loved him.
it's same with like David Batty for England. You know, people be like, why is David Batty getting caps? Do you not see what he's doing? He's
He worked.
engine. Now, this
He
is the thing
worked.
with Liverpool right now, because Liverpool have zero flair in the middle of the park. And
Yeah,
we know,
yeah.
but they are, I call them industrious. And
They
I've
are.
been saying it for the last 2 seasons.
Mm.
They don't need to have any special talent in the middle of the park. You just need people that are going to work, they're going to run, they're going to chop,
It's true.
and just get the ball out wide or get the ball to the front three. You don't need, at the moment, you could argue that you don't actually need any flair in the middle of the park, because that if they do that, then it will take away the effort and the desire that they have in the centre park.
It's true. I mean, it's a concept of balance, like we were saying before. Like, if they can strike the balance in the midfield, then you can do it anywhere. And I think France did it perfectly in the World Cup. You know, getting Pogba, Matuidi, and Kante, they balanced it perfectly. That was the most balanced midfielder probably in my lifetime, other than Spain, because that's just they're in a different world. One of the best that we've ever seen. But all these players that you talk about, you need to have that. You need to have them in the park. And to go back to the original thing we were talking about, McTominay, like if I feel sorry for him, I feel bad. No, because I think he is one of those people that will work hard and will fill the gap, I think, between the central midfielders and the defenders when Matic goes. So I think there's always going to be a spot for him. I think he'll develop underneath these really great players now in the middle of the park, and he'll just get better. And he's one that I'd want to see at the club for a very long time, if not indefinitely, because we need someone like him. But like with the rest of the squad, like United are at such an awkward point because Van der Beek was an incredible signing, and I'll never take that away from him. It really was. But
what I love about Van der Beek is the fact he can play in the 6, you know, just front of the door. He could play in 8, the box to boxer. He could play in behind as well. He's so versatile in that little square, you know, from literally from one box to another. You literally put him in any one of those and he will do a fantastic job. And not just that, he has won more penalties than anyone else.
Mate, we're going to be slotting them. We are slotting them home next season. I can't wait for the meme.
Jamie Elliott, who is the main presenter of 3 in the Ball. So if you like your darts, do you like your darts, Dev?
I don't mind it. Yeah, a bit of Raymond van Barneveld. Why not?
Yeah, I'll pop on there every now and then as well. Show face. The 3 in the Ball is a great pod. So if you're into your darts, you go watch that. Jamie's watching from there. Best fullback in the Prem, Dennis Irwin, he says. And Neville's strongest attribute was his passion. Now, I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah.
The Dennis Irwin bit, for me, whether I like him or not as a person, not that I've met him before, he's probably a lovely guy, but he's clearly not. He's actually cold, isn't it? Yeah, it's actually cold. He's the best left back in world football that ever has been in my lifetime. In my lifetime.
Yeah.
Since I've been born, and people go Maldini. I'm like, no, Maldini, I love Maldini, but I'll play him at centre half. And if anyone is trying to at me with Roberto Carlos, you don't watch football. Do not watch football.
No.
End of story.
You play FIFA if you choose Roberto Carlos. You do not watch football if you choose Roberto Carlos.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm glad you backed me on that one. With Man United, where are they going to end this season, Dev?
It depends if we get the deals over the line that we said we're going to do. If we get Reguilon and if we get Sancho, which I think we'll probably get. No, didn't say that. We're still a couple.
No, I'm saying it. If you get them both.
No. I think we don't have that experience just yet. I think we still need to mature a bit as a squad, because when Fernandes came in, he still had to rally the troops a lot, and when their heads did go down, he still had to be there. And I get, we had
in the door.
You have to have that throughout the team, and that's what United always had. So I never like to look back at old United squads and do that thing and reminisce, get nostalgic and all that. But we had that presence loads of places in the pitch. We had a spine from goalkeepers, Schmeichel, Van der Sar, always. Yapstam, Yeah, and
Which one to go with? Yeah, like.
Yeah, it's true. But like Yapstam, Rio Ferdinand, your Vidic, you had your Roy Keanes, and you had your Scholes didn't really have to say a lot, but he led by example. You had your Giggs who did the exact same thing. Beckham was the biggest engine that no one gives him any credit for. Rooney, Saha, like you had everyone there. And right now, when Marcus Rashford dips his head and he doesn't know what he's doing, even he's looking to Fernandes sometimes. I saw him in the restart, thinking, "Oh, come on, let's go." This man just came to the club that you've been watching since you were a kid and that you dreamt about playing. Where's that again? Like, we don't need self-starters, but because people sometimes aren't, and just because you're a footballer, you're not supposed to just be perfect. I get that, but you need people around the squad to help you with that. And in defence, okay, I like Maguire. I know he's a good defender, and Lindelof, I like him as well. They ain't listening to him. They're not listening to him. And like in the central midfield, like they're listening to Pogba when he plays, but that's only when he feels like it, and that's when Fernandes gets him on side. So it needs more. I think Van der Beek is going to be perfect for gelling that together. I think he'll be great at that. But then up top, Martial and like Greenwood is still learning the ropes. Like he had a great season, but he's still a kid. Like look what he just did recently with England. He's clearly a kid. He's clearly a kid. So he needs embedding. He needs looking after. And there's a lot of things we need to do. But get a Jadon Sancho in. Get Reguilon in. Oh my God.
So minus those two, you're saying where in the league, and then with
fourth,
those two, where you saying in the league?
I'd say fourth. Without them, I think we are going to get into top four, and I think either third or second with them. I think we might push for second, but third I'll be happy with.
So if you don't get them, you'll come fourth. That means Arsenal come third. With Solskjaer, what?
If that makes you happy, mate. Yeah, why not? Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, I'll run with that. Cheers, Dev. Good guy.
Lovely stuff.
You can come on again. Right. So with Solskjaer, are you in, out?
Shake it all about. I'm a bit. He gets it. He gets United. He understands what it means to play for us, and I just don't think it's him who's pulling all the strings. I think without Mike Phelan, you ain't getting any of these tactical changes. I don't think Solskjaer's got that about him, and it's not really for me to say because I don't really know, but I'm going to base it off just the fact that he's a good figurehead. He's a good person for players to come and understand the culture and learn about United and to get inspiration. I think he's a very inspirational guy, Solskjaer, because he's done things with United that no one's done, and he's been central in these moments as well. So I think he's good to have for that, especially when we're back in the Champions League. I think would be very good for that. But without Phelan, without the backroom staff, without Fergie lingering around, because he always is.
He is not good enough.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't think he's on his own good enough. But with everyone, I think he's a good little figurehead. So he's done well so far. You can't knock the end result, I guess. There's been times where
yeah,
there's been times where it's thingy, but
like old players now managing their club, and I'm just looking forward to when Stephen Ireland takes over at Man City.
Imagine
or
Michael Johnson, get him back. Bill Van Distan, get him in at the back.
Jeff Whitley. But Dev's book is out on the 1st of December, and I swear to God, I cannot wait. cannot wait to read this book, The Football Spiderweb: How the Beautiful Game Has Evolved. And as I said, it's going to be out all over the place. Are you going to have it like hardback, paperback, and that stuff as well? What's crap?
Well, it's going to be a self-published work because I've looked at the published route. It's a bit of a minefield. I've had some interest come back, but when I look at the difference in how much you lose by going to a publisher, I just thought, at least for my first one, let's try it all myself. So this is all going to be on Amazon Prime. It will be available depending on which country you're in. It's either Prime or just do normal Amazon delivery because it's printed to order. But that's why we're going to have a pre-order link sometime in November. I'll keep everyone updated on that. Probably first.
That's straight over to me as soon as you do.
Of course, mate. And I'll be doing that so then at least Amazon can get an idea of what's going to be put out for December, and then hopefully a Prime link will come through that. But it's going to be paperback because it's through Amazon themselves. So all of it's paperback or Kindle. Kindle will be a different price as well, but it's all going to be reasonable. It's going to be a fair price. I mean, I'm Indian. We like fair prices. So we're going to keep it all fair. So we're just gonna make sure it's all fair. But it's funny you mention it because even though this is the
I'll
author,
just teeth it off you anyway.
yeah, exactly. But just last week, I ordered an author-proof copy, and though this isn't the final version, this is what it will end up looking like. So put it all
One
there.
sec. Let me put you on the big screen. There you are, your sole screen. Get it out there. Look at that. Look.
There you go.
Oh.
All there.
Your first copy. Can I have it signed, please?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. We'll do two things actually. One, I want one. I want it signed. And two, we will do a giveaway, a signed copy giveaway for one of the books for one lucky viewer, and we'll talk about that. But we'll get something written down or something, you know, as a competition, because I think this book is revolutionary, and I don't want to patronise or anything, but you're 23 years old and you've sat down, you did a bit of recruitment, now you work for DAZN and you're writing a book, mate. This is, I am so glad to have met you, mate, and I'm buzzing for your future. And you know, make sure you get yourself involved again with Two Up Top. Get yourself on the show again. Love to have you back on.
Mate, likewise, it's been a lot of fun, and obviously, like from now until December, it's just going to be, you know, talking to as many people, engaging with people. But if more of them are like you, it's just going to be an even more enjoyable process. But like I say, like I don't want this to be the last time I'm on here. That's for sure.
No, it won't be, mate. Trust me.
There you go. Exactly. But it's been good fun. And like you say, we'll figure out the details with what we can do with this and how we can help each other, because that's what it was all about when we've spoken and about everything else. But yeah, I think it's been great fun being on this talk, and can't wait for the next one, mate. Sign me up.
Yeah, will do for sure. Now, you can subscribe to our YouTube channels going on the bottom of the screen. As we have over 100 subscribers now, we can change our domain name. In fact,
lovely.
Before the show, we had 644. So please continue subscribing. We're loving the support. www.youtube.com/ToTopFootball. And you can now download Soccer Manager 2021. It's available right now on the App Store and on the Google Play Store. And I'm not quite sure if you knew, Dev.
No, I didn't.
If you put in Two Up Top into Google, our name comes up first.
Really?
Honestly.
Mate, I'm going to do that as soon as I get off this call. So make
sure
it stays there.
Honestly,
make sure it stays there.
It works. Our name comes up first. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and your questions. Please continue to like and share our stuff. You know, if you missed some of the interview, you could go back on YouTube or on Facebook and have a look at this. Or if you are too busy to watch it, you can stick it in your ears. It's available on all major podcast providers, including Spotify. Where we are in the top 100 as well, which happened. This happened today. Last night we found out we are in the top 100 sports podcasts in the world. In the world, Two Up Top.
Say that again. One more time. Say that again. One more time.
In the world.
There we go. There we go. Just to make sure it's all there. Just to make sure.
Hey, look, people might not have heard, so there you go.
Exactly.
Dev,
it's clear.
if you can hang around there. If you can hang around there for a couple of moments, I'm going to say bye to these lot. Goodbye.
Goodbye.